Ever wonder what it's like to be the son of a billionaire? It ain't just fancy cars and private jets. These kids got security teams that'd make the president jealous. We're talking armored vehicles, bulletproof everything, and guards who could take down a small army. But which billionaire's kid has the most insane security? We're counting down the 15 most heavily guarded billionaire sons in the world. You won't believe the crazy measures some of these families take to keep their heirs safe. The Arnault twins, guarded in style. Ever heard of the Arnault twins? These guys are the sons of Bernard Arnault, the dude who owns Louis Vuitton and like half the fancy brands you've ever heard of. Alexandra and Frederick Arnault ain't your average rich kids. They're heirs to a fashion empire worth billions, but you'd never guess it from their security. See, most billionaire kids got bodyguards that stick out like a sore thumb. Big dudes in black suits with earpieces looking all serious and stuff. But the Arnault twins, they play it cool. Their security team is all about blending in, looking like they just stepped off a Paris runway. You'd think with all that family money, they'd have obvious protection, right? Nah, these guys are smarter than that. Their security detail is like a fashion-forward secret service. The guards dress in the latest designer threads, looking more like models than muscle. They could be rocking Saint Laurent suits one day and Dior the next. It's all part of the plan to keep things low-key. But don't let the fancy clothes fool you. These guards are packing some serious heat, just hidden in style. We're talking about high-tech gadgets that'd make James Bond jealous, all disguised as luxury accessories. That fancy watch, it's probably got a panic button and GPS tracker. The designer sunglasses could be equipped with facial recognition tech. Even their shoes might have hidden compartments for weapons or emergency gear. And get this, the twins' security detail changes daily. They switch up the team to keep things unpredictable. One day, it might be ex-Special Forces guys pretending to be fashion photographers. The next, it could be former intelligence agents posing as personal assistants. It's like a real-life game of fashion spy versus spy. The whole setup is designed to let the Arnault twins live as normal a life as possible while still being protected. They can hit up fashion shows, hang out at exclusive clubs, or just grab coffee without drawing attention. To most people, they just look like a couple of stylish dudes with their equally stylish crew. It's kind of genius when you think about it. In a world where everyone's trying to show off their wealth and status, the Arnaults are playing it cool. Their security is top-notch, but it's all about subtlety and style. It's like having a whole team of 007s, but make it fashion. But as slick as the Arnault twins' security is, it's nothing compared to our next billionaire son. This kid's got protection that makes the fashion spies look like mall cops. We're talking about security so intense it's practically got its own zip code. But you'll have to stick around to find out who it is and why they need such crazy levels of protection. Barron Trump presidential level protection. From fashion spies to federal agents. What happens when your dad's job comes with a security detail that could take down a small country? Buckle up, because we're about to meet a billionaire son whose protection is literally a matter of national security. Enter Barron Trump, the youngest son of former President Donald Trump. This kid ain't just any rich boy. He's got the full might of the United States Secret Service watching his back. Being the president's son comes with some serious perks, but it also means you're living with a giant target on your back. When your dad's the most powerful man in the world, you can bet there are plenty of people who'd love to get their hands on you. That's why Barron's had a team of highly trained agents following him around since he was just a little kid. We're talking about guys who'd take a bullet for him without hesitation. But here's where it gets interesting. What happens when dad's not the big boss anymore? Most kids would be back to regular old bodyguards, but not Barron. Even after Trump left office, Barron still got a full 6 months of Secret Service protection. That's right, half a year of having some of the best trained security personnel in the world watching your every move, courtesy of Uncle Sam. And let's talk about school for a sec. When most of us were worried about pop quizzes and cafeteria food, Barron's school had to turn into Fort Knox. We're talking metal detectors, bomb-sniffing dogs, and enough security personnel to guard a small country. The Secret Service even had to coordinate with local law enforcement to make sure the area around the school was locked down tight. But it's not just about having a bunch of tough guys in suits around. The Secret Service takes their job seriously, and that means getting creative. They've even got code names for Barron and his family. It's like being in a real-life spy movie, where everyone's got a cool alias. Barron's code name? Mongoose. Sounds pretty badass, right? All this protection isn't just for show, though. The Secret Service is constantly assessing threats, planning escape routes, and preparing for every possible scenario. They've got to be ready for anything from a random crazy person to a coordinated attack. It's like having your own personal army, always on high alert. But as intense as Barron's security is, it's nothing compared to our next billionaire kid. We're talking about a guy whose family decided that government protection just wasn't enough. They've gone and hired their own private military contractors. Yeah, you heard that right. A personal army of ex-special forces guys who make the Secret Service look like mall cops. This next billionaire son's got security that's so over the top, it's like something out of an action movie. We're talking about bulletproof everything, armored vehicles that could survive a war zone, and a team of guards who could probably take over a small country if they wanted to. But you'll have to stick around to find out who this mystery heir is, and why his family thinks he needs more protection than the president's kid. Akash Ambani, bulletproof luxury. Think bulletproof cars are the peak of security. That's cute. Wait till you hear about the guy whose family literally controls the airspace around their house. Akash Ambani's security makes presidential protection look like a part-time gig at the mall. Let's talk about Akash Ambani, the heir to one of India's biggest fortunes. His dad Mukesh Ambani is the chairman of Reliance Industries and basically owns half of India. So when it comes to keeping his family safe, you know he's not messing around. Akash has got a fleet of bulletproof cars that would make James Bond green with envy. We're talking custom armored Mercedes, BMWs, and Range Rovers that could probably survive a small war. But here's the thing. When you're worth billions, even a bulletproof Batmobile ain't enough to keep you safe. That's why the Ambanis took things to a whole new level with their family home, Antilia. This place isn't just a house. It's a 27-story skyscraper in the heart of Mumbai that's basically its own self-contained city. And get this, they've got their own freaking airspace security system. Yeah, you heard that right. They can control who flies anywhere near their house. It's like having your own personal no-fly zone. Inside Antilia, it's like Fort Knox met a luxury hotel and had a baby. They've got panic rooms, blast-proof windows, and enough security features to make the Pentagon jealous. But the real kicker? The Ambanis have a team of ex-military commandos on standby 24/7. These aren't your average rent-a-cops. We're talking about highly trained special forces guys who could probably take over a small country if they wanted to. And it's not just at home where Akash is protected like he's made of gold. Even his wedding was a security nightmare. While most people worry about seating arrangements and floral displays, the Ambanis had to figure out where to put the snipers. That's right. Akash's wedding had sharpshooters on the rooftops, keeping an eye on things. Talk about a shotgun wedding, huh? But here's the crazy part. All this security is just normal for Akash. Growing up with this level of protection, it's just part of his everyday life. While we're worried about remembering to lock our front door, he's got a team of ex-military guys planning his route to work like it's a military operation. Living like Akash Ambani is basically like being in a real-life action movie, but with better catering. It's a luxury fortress with your own private army, where even the air around you is protected. But as insane as Akash's security setup is, it's nothing compared to our next billionaire kid. We're talking about a level of protection that makes the Ambanis look like they're playing with water guns and cardboard forts. This next heir's got security so tight, it's like they're preparing for an alien invasion. But you'll have to stick around to find out who it is and why they need more protection than a guy whose family can literally control the skies. Blue Ivy Carter, hip-hop royalty protection. You thought controlling the skies was impressive? Wait till you hear about the kid with a security team straight out of Langley. When your mom and dad are music royalty, your protection detail is basically the Secret Service meets MTV. Meet Blue Ivy Carter, the firstborn of Beyoncé and Jay-Z. This little princess has been living the high-security life since before she could even walk. When you're the child of two of the biggest names in music, you can bet there's a whole lot of people watching your every move, and not all of them have good intentions. So how do you keep a kid safe when they're constantly in the spotlight? For the Carters, it's all about going big or going home. Blue Ivy's got a security team that'd make most world leaders jealous. We're talking about a group of former CIA agents who've traded in their government badges for a chance to protect hip-hop royalty. These aren't your average bodyguards. These folks have dealt with international threats and high-stakes operations. Now they're using those skills to make sure no one messes with Queen Bey's little girl. But the protection doesn't stop there. When Blue Ivy was born, her parents went all out to make sure she was safe from day one. They dropped millions on a custom-built bulletproof nursery. Yeah, you heard that right. Bulletproof. We're talking reinforced walls, blast-proof windows, and probably enough security tech to launch a space shuttle. It's like a tiny fortress, designed to withstand anything from a rogue paparazzo to a full-on zombie apocalypse. As Blue Ivy's grown up, her security's only gotten more intense. She's got her own personal bodyguard who's with her 24/7. This isn't just some big dude in a suit. We're talking about a highly trained professional who's an expert in martial arts. It's like having a ninja nanny who can change diapers and break bones with equal skill. But here's the thing. All this security has to be balanced with letting Blue Ivy have something resembling a normal childhood. That's where the real skill comes in. Her protection team has to be invisible enough not to freak out the other kids at school, but present enough to jump into action at a moment's notice. It's a delicate dance, making sure Blue Ivy can make friends and have fun while also being ready for any potential threat. It's wild to think about, right? While most kids are worried about their next playdate, Blue Ivy's got a team of ex-spies planning her every move like it's a covert operation. It's the kind of security setup that'd make most adults feel claustrophobic. But for Blue Ivy, it's just another day in the life of hip-hop royalty. But as impressive as Blue Ivy's protection detail is, it's nothing compared to our next billionaire kid. We're talking about security so intense it makes the Carter family look like they're relying on a school crossing guard. This next heir's got a team that doesn't just protect, they're ready for full-scale warfare. But you'll have to stick around to find out who it is and why they need more muscle than a small country's entire military. Anant Ambani, the human Fort Knox. Forget armored cars and bulletproof vests. When you're the son of Asia's richest man, your security detail is basically a small nation's worth of muscle. Anant Ambani's got a setup so intense it makes Fort Knox look like a cardboard box with a padlock. Meet Anant Ambani, the youngest son of Mukesh Ambani, the guy who's basically got India's economy in his back pocket. Being born into that kind of wealth comes with some serious perks, but it also puts a massive target on your back. That's why Anant's security is next-level bonkers. First off, this dude's got what's called a Z+ security detail. For those of you who ain't up on your security lingo, that's the highest level of protection the Indian government dishes out. We're talking about the kind of security usually reserved for prime ministers and presidents. Anant's walking around with more protection than most countries give their top official, but it ain't just about having a bunch of tough guys in suits. Anant's convoy is like something out of an action movie. We're talking bomb-proof SUVs that could probably drive through a war zone without a scratch. And get this, they've got a mobile medical unit rolling with them at all times. It's like having a whole hospital on wheels just in case things go south. Now you might be thinking, surely that's enough, right? Wrong. The Ambanis decided that government protection just wasn't cutting it. So they went and hired their own team of former Israeli intelligence officers. Yeah, you heard that right. Anant's got ex-Mossad agents watching his back. These are the kind of people who can probably kill you with a paperclip and make it look like an accident. But here's the kicker. All this security isn't just for show. The Ambanis have had some serious threats against them over the years. We're talking about kidnapping attempts, terrorist threats, you name it. So when it comes to keeping Anant safe, they're not taking any chances. It's wild to think about what daily life must be like for this guy. Every trip to the mall is probably planned like a military operation. Want to grab a coffee with friends? Gotta run it by the security team first. It's like living in a real-life version of 24, but instead of saving the world, you're just trying to live a semi-normal life. But as crazy as Anant's security setup is, it's practically child's play compared to our next billionaire kid. We're talking about a level of protection that makes Anant's team look like mall cops. This next heir's got their own personal counter-terrorism unit. Yeah, you heard that right. A whole team dedicated to stopping terrorists before they even think about making a move. It's the kind of security that has other billionaires taking notes. But you'll have to stick around to find out who this mystery kid is. Joseph Lau Luen Hung's son, the billionaire bubble boy. Imagine having a diamond worth $48 million. Now imagine being the kid whose dad bought it for him. That's the life of Joseph Lau's son. But the crazy part? The diamond might be the least protected thing about him. We're talking security so intense, it makes Fort Knox look like a piggy bank. Joseph Lau Luen Hung ain't your average billionaire dad. This Hong Kong real estate tycoon dropped a cool $48 million on a blue diamond for his son, just because he felt like it. But when your kid's rocking bling worth more than some countries' GDPs, you gotta step up the security game. And boy, did Lau step it up. This kid's living in a bubble, and I don't mean that as some fancy metaphor. We're talking about a literal bubble of clean air that follows him around everywhere he goes. Yeah, you heard that right. Lau's son's got a personal air purification system that's always with him. It's like he's got his own atmosphere, filtering out all the peasant air the rest of us breathe. Allergies, pollution, airborne diseases, not a problem when you're in a billionaire bubble. But the crazy security measures don't stop there. Every single thing this kid eats goes through more scrutiny than a suspect on CSI. He's got a whole team of experts whose job is to test his food before it even gets near his mouth. We're talking chemists, nutritionists, and probably a few folks with job titles we can't even pronounce. They're checking for everything from poison to pesticides to make sure nothing messes with the air's precious insides. And let's talk about his security detail for a sec. Most rich kids got a couple of big dudes in suits watching their back. Lau's son, he's rolling with former Mossad agents. Yeah, that Mossad, Israel's legendary intelligence agency. These aren't just bodyguards, these are spies turned protectors who could probably take down a small army before breakfast. They're trained in everything from hand-to-hand combat to counter-terrorism tactics. It's like having your own personal squad of James Bonds. Living like this, the kid's basically in his own sci-fi movie. He's got air that's cleaner than an operating room, food that's safer than the president's, and a security team that could probably stage a coup if they felt like it. It's a level of protection that's so over the top, it's hard to even imagine what normal life looks like for this kid. But here's the thing, as insane as all this sounds, it's just another day in the life for Lau's son. While we're out here worried about catching a cold or getting our phones snatched, this kid's living in a world where even the air around him is part of his security detail. But hold on to your hats, cause as wild as Lau's son's protection is, it's nothing compared to our next billionaire kid. We're talking about security so intense, it makes the billionaire bubble boy look like he's got a crossing guard for protection. This next heir's got a setup that's so secretive and high-tech, it's like they're preparing for an alien invasion. But you'll have to stick around to find out who this mystery kid is and why they need security that's out of this world. Evan Spiegel's son, the Snapchat secure. You thought disappearing messages were just for teenagers. Think again, the son of Snapchat's founder has security that vanishes faster than those infamous 10-second snaps. But unlike those messages, this protection never truly goes away. How does a kid stay safe when his dad's whole business is built on making things disappear? Meet the son of Evan Spiegel, the guy who created Snapchat and made it cool to send pics that vanish into thin air. You'd think with a dad like that, privacy would be a breeze. But here's the thing, when you're the kid of a tech billionaire, staying under the radar is harder than ever. Everyone's got a camera in their pocket and the internet never forgets. So how do you keep a kid safe in a world where everything's online and nothing ever really disappears? For Spiegel's son, it's all about using the same kind of high-tech wizardry that made Snapchat a hit, but cranking it up to 11. First up, the kid's home is like something out of a sci-fi movie. They've got AI-powered facial recognition systems guarding every entrance. These aren't your average security cameras. We're talking about smart systems that can tell the difference between family, friends, and potential threats faster than you can say, cheese. But the real magic happens behind the scenes. Spiegel and his wife use quantum encryption for all their family communications. It's like having a secret language that's impossible to crack, even for the world's best hackers. Every text, every call, every baby photo, it's all locked up tighter than Fort Knox. It's the kind of tech that governments would kill for, and this kid's got it just to share his first steps with grandma. And here's where it gets really wild. They've got a whole team dedicated to scrubbing the internet of any mention of the kid. It's like having a digital cleanup crew working 24/7. These folks are combing through social media, news sites, even the dark web, making sure there's no trace of the little tyke online. It's like they're trying to make the kid invisible in the digital world. Living like this, Spiegel's son is basically in a real-life version of Snapchat. His existence online is carefully controlled, appearing only when and where his parents wanted to, then vanishing without a trace. It's like having a digital army fighting a war no one can see, all to keep one kid safe from the prying eyes of the internet. But here's the crazy part. For this kid, all this high-tech security is just normal life. While most parents are worried about their kids sharing too much on social media, Spiegel's got a team making sure his son barely exists online at all. It's a whole new level of helicopter parenting, powered by AI and quantum physics. As mind-blowing as Spiegel's son's security setup is, it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to billionaire kid protection. Our next heir's got security that's so advanced, it makes the Snapchat squad look like they're using flip phones and fax machines. We're talking about tech so cutting edge it hasn't even been invented yet, but you'll have to stick around to find out who this mystery kid is and why they need security that's basically from the future. Eric Schmidt's daughter, the Google-protected princess. Ever wonder what it's like to have the power of Google watching your every move? For one billionaire's kid, it's not just a creepy thought, it's reality. Eric Schmidt's daughter's got security that makes the NSA look like amateurs. But is all that data keeping her safe, or just killing her privacy? When your dad's the guy who ran Google, you know your security's gonna be next level. Eric Schmidt's daughter isn't just protected by a couple of burly dudes in suits. She's got the full might of one of the world's biggest tech companies watching her back. We're talking about security that's so advanced it's like living in the future. First up, let's talk about her home security system. This ain't your average alarm setup. They've got a system that uses Google's AI to predict potential threats before they even happen. It's like having a crystal ball, but instead of some mystic mumbo-jumbo, it's powered by the same tech that knows what you're gonna search before you even type it. The system's constantly analyzing data from social media, news sources, and who knows what else to spot any possible danger heading her way. But the real magic happens when she steps outside. Her phone's got more encryption than most government agencies. We're talking about security so tight, even the FBI would have a hard time cracking it. Every call, every text, every selfie. It's all locked up tighter than Fort Knox. It's like she's got her own personal internet that nobody else can access. And here's where it gets really wild. They've got a whole team dedicated to creating digital decoys. Yeah, you heard that right. These folks are out there making fake social media accounts, posting bogus location data, even creating entire fake lives online. It's all designed to throw off potential kidnappers or anyone else who might be trying to track her down. It's like she's got a whole army of digital body doubles running around the internet. Living like this, Eric Schmidt's daughter is basically in a real-life version of the Matrix. She's surrounded by this invisible web of data and AI, all working overtime to keep her safe. But here's the thing, with all this tech watching her every move, you gotta wonder where security ends and privacy invasion begins. It's like having Big Brother as your personal bodyguard. Sure, you're safe, but at what cost? For most of us, the idea of having every aspect of our lives monitored and analyzed would be a total nightmare. But for Eric Schmidt's daughter, it's just another day in the life. While we're worried about our phones listening to our conversations, she's got an entire tech empire dedicated to predicting her every move. But as mind-blowing as all this Google-powered protection is, it's nothing compared to our next billionaire kid. We're talking about security so intense, it makes Eric Schmidt's daughter look like she's relying on a school crossing guard for protection. This next heir's got a setup that's so advanced, it's like they're preparing for a sci-fi movie villain attack. But you'll have to stick around to find out who this mystery kid is and why they need security that makes Google look like it's still using dial-up. Elon Musk's son, the Cybertruck toddler. You thought Google's security was next level. Wait till you hear about the toddler with a bulletproof stroller. Elon Musk's son is rolling around in a miniature fortress, but that's just the start of his out-of-this-world protection. Let's talk about XAEA-12 Musk. Yeah, that's his real name. When your dad's busy trying to colonize Mars, you know your security's gonna be on another planet. Elon Musk ain't messing around when it comes to keeping his kids safe. And he's using all that Tesla and SpaceX tech to do it. First up, forget those fancy designer strollers. XAEA-12's cruising around in a mini Cybertruck. This ain't your average push car. We're talking bulletproof glass, reinforced exoskeleton, and probably enough tech to launch a satellite. It's like baby's first Batmobile, but with better mileage. This kid's ride is tougher than most people's actual cars, but the wild stuff doesn't stop there. XAEA-12's nursery is basically a baby-sized space station. They've got airlocks to keep out any Earth germs or, alien invaders. And get this, there's an emergency rocket escape pod. Yeah, you heard that right. While most parents are worried about baby-proofing the stairs, Musk's got his kid ready to blast off at a moment's notice. It's like a fire escape, but for when things get really, really bad. Now you might be thinking, surely that's enough, right? Wrong. Musk's taking things to the next level with a team of AI-powered robot nannies. These ain't your grandma's babysitters. We're talking about advanced robots that can probably change a diaper, solve complex equations, and fight off intruders all at the same time. It's like having a whole squad of mini Terminators, but they're programmed to sing lullabies instead of "I'll be back." Living like this, XAEA-12's basically growing up in a sci-fi movie, but it's all real. While most kids are watching cartoons, this little dude's probably learning how to pilot a spaceship. His first words might be in binary code. It's a childhood that's so futuristic the rest of us can barely even imagine it. But here's the thing, for XAEA-12, all this crazy tech is just normal life. He's growing up in a world where rocket escapes and robot nannies are just part of everyday routine. It's like the rest of us are living in the Stone Age compared to this kid's Jetsons lifestyle. As mind-blowing as Elon Musk's son's security setup is, believe it or not, there's one billionaire heir out there whose protection makes this look like child's play. We're talking about security so advanced, it makes XAEA-12 sci-fi life look like a historical reenactment. This next kid's got a setup that's so out of this world, even Elon Musk might be taking notes. But you'll have to stick around to find out who this mystery heir is and why they need security that's literally light years ahead of everyone else. Bernard Arnault's youngest, the fashion fortress. Imagine a world where your bodyguards could walk a runway and your panic room is more stylish than most people's living rooms. For one lucky kid, this isn't just imagination, it's everyday life. But how do you balance being the heir to a luxury empire with staying under the radar? Meet Bernard Arnault's youngest child, the kid who's got security that's more exclusive than a Birkin bag. When your dad owns half the luxury brands in the world, including Louis Vuitton, Dior and Hennessy, you need some seriously fancy protection. But this ain't your average billionaire security detail. Nah, the Arnaults have taken things to a whole new level of chic. First up, let's talk about the kid's personal protection squad. Forget about obvious bodyguards in black suits. This little heir's got a team of ex-Special Forces operatives who could easily be mistaken for fashion models. These aren't just tough guys who can throw a punch. They're highly trained professionals who look like they just stepped off a Paris runway. One minute they're blending in at Fashion Week, the next they're taking down potential threats with moves that'd make James Bond jealous. But the high fashion security doesn't stop there. The Arnault family yacht isn't just a luxury vessel, it's a floating fortress with some serious James Bond vibes. The coolest feature? An underwater escape pod. Yeah, you heard that right. While other rich kids are worried about seasickness, this little Arnault's got a way to pull off a submarine getaway if things get dicey. It's like having your own personal mini-submarine but make it fashion. And here's where it gets really wild. The Arnaults have got panic rooms in every major fashion capital. Paris, Milan, New York, London, you name it, they've got a secret hideout there. But these aren't your average panic rooms. We're talking about ultra-luxe safe spaces that are probably nicer than most people's entire homes. Bulletproof walls covered in designer wallpaper, secure communication systems disguised as haute couture accessories, and enough supplies to wait out any crisis in style. Living like this, the youngest Arnault is basically in a real-life fashion spy movie. Every day is a blend of high-stakes security and high-end style. While most kids are worrying about their school outfits, this little heir's clothes are probably hiding more tech than a spy agency. It's like having a James Bond movie wardrobe, but with real gadgets instead of movie props. But here's the thing. As over-the-top as all this fashionable security sounds, for the Arnault kid, it's just another day in the life. They're growing up in a world where danger and luxury go hand in hand, where every fashion accessory could double as a safety device. As impressive as the Arnault's fashion-forward protection is, believe it or not, there's one billionaire son out there whose security makes this look like fast fashion from the clearance rack. We're talking about a level of protection so intense, it makes the Arnault's setup look like amateur hour at a fashion school. This next heir's got security that's not just cutting edge, it's redefining the whole game. But you'll have to stick around to find out who this mystery kid is and why they need security that's so advanced it's practically couture. Jeff Bezos' son, the Amazon Prime protectee. From fashion fortresses to e-commerce empires, we're leveling up in the world of billionaire offspring security. What if I told you there's a kid out there whose protection detail makes the CIA look like mall cops? And it's all thanks to dear old dad's little online shop you might have heard of. Jeff Bezos' son isn't just any rich kid. He's got security that arrives faster than your next day delivery. When your dad's the richest man on earth, you need some serious protection. But how do you stay safe when your old man's got more enemies than Prime members? For starters, this kid's got a security detail that's more high-tech than your average sci-fi movie. They're using Amazon's drone technology for surveillance, turning those little flying delivery bots into a personal eye-in-the-sky security system. Imagine having your own fleet of drones watching your every move, ready to spot any potential threat before it even gets close. It's like having a force field, but with better battery life. But the protection doesn't stop when he's at school. Nah, Bezos' kid goes to a place that's got more security features than most airports. We're talking facial recognition at the gates, AI-powered threat detection systems in the hallways, and probably some kind of force field around the playground. It's like going to school in Fort Knox, but with better cafeteria food. And here's where it gets really wild. They've got a whole team dedicated to monitoring the dark web for potential threats. While most parents are worried about their kids seeing inappropriate content online, Bezos has got a squad of cyber ninjas scouring the internet's underbelly for any hint of danger. These folks are probably uncovering more plots than a Netflix series. Living like this, Bezos' son is basically in a real-life version of a spy movie, but with better tech support. Every aspect of his life is monitored, analyzed, and secured with the kind of precision that most countries' intelligence agencies can only dream of. It's like having the CIA, but with better customer service and 2-day shipping on new gadgets. But here's the kicker. For this kid, all this insane security is just normal life. While we're out here worried about remembering to lock our front doors, he's got a team of ex-Special Forces operators and tech geniuses planning his every move like it's a covert operation. It's a level of protection that's so over the top, it makes the Secret Service look like they're playing pretend. As mind-blowing as Bezos' son's security setup is, believe it or not, there's one billionaire heir out there whose protection makes this look like a part-time job at the mall. We're talking about security so intense, it makes Amazon's empire look like a lemonade stand. This next kid's got a setup that's so advanced, it's like they're preparing for an alien invasion, while the rest of us are still figuring out how to use our smart thermostats. But you'll have to stick around to find out who this mystery heir is and why they need security that's out of this world. Mark Zuckerberg's daughter, the Facebook firewall. You think your parents were overprotective? Imagine if your dad literally owned the internet. Zuckerberg's daughter's got security that makes your privacy settings look like a screen door on a submarine. But here's the real kicker. How do you hide someone when their dad's job is to make everyone visible? Mark Zuckerberg's daughter ain't just any rich kid. She's got more protection than your Facebook data. Wait. Maybe that's not the best comparison. When your dad owns social media and knows everything about everyone, privacy becomes a whole different ball game. For starters, this little Zuckerberg's got a security team that's using Facebook's facial recognition tech like it's going out of style. While the rest of us are worried about tagging our friends in photos, she's got an AI that can spot a potential threat from a mile away. But the real magic happens at home. The Zuckerberg residence ain't just a house, it's a high-tech fortress with more security features than Fort Knox. They've got a panic room that'd make Bruce Wayne jealous, complete with its own internet connection and power supply. It's like a miniature Facebook HQ, but with fewer ping-pong tables and more bulletproof walls. If things ever go south, this kid could probably run a small country from inside that panic room. But here's the thing. For this kid, all this crazy security is just normal life. She's growing up in a world where privacy is the ultimate luxury, and every selfie could be a security risk. While we're worried about our phones listening to our conversations, she's got an entire tech empire dedicated to keeping her offline.